Notification. There we go. Beautiful. All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, teach well, and taught us this truth. And shalom to the hopeful elect. All right, the Akim and Aqua scattered around the four corners of the planet Earth. All right, I'm the brother Iraq. All right, from GMS Dallas. And got the brother Tasha
Shalom.
with me. All right, and wanted to do a quick sit down through the spirit and power of the Lord. And I'll entitle this lesson, Faith Will Be the Difference Maker. All right, faith will be the difference maker. And, you know, when I say the difference maker, I basically mean, you know, the difference between life and death, you know, the difference between receiving grace and mercy from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, all right, and not receiving that mercy from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, all right. And the precept that comes to mind off the top is Sirach, the second chapter, which we pull frequently, but it can never get pulled enough because, again, faith is the main thing that the Lord is looking for. You know, that's why we read about faith when you read James, the first chapter, you know, James, the second chapter. You know, he goes into patience, he goes into faith. All right. And we're coming into times essentially where faith is going to be all we have. It's going to be all you got. You know, now during this grace period, you know, we taught, you know, we teach, you know, we preach, we teach, we go out to the highways and byways, right? We've been building ourselves up through the spirit, you know, but when you really cut away all the extra, when you cut away all the carnality, all right, even down to your name, your upbringing, this, that, the third, is all going to boil down to faith and how much of it you either have or don't have, you know? So just through the spirit, I wanted to go into faith. Is anything you wanted to grab opening up?
I was going to grab that Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1, then drop down to 6.
That's the spirit. Yep. You can start that.
All right, come on. I will show you 1 second.
Con, if you want. I got to pull it if you want me to read it.
Nah, this is in the AMP.
Okay, good.
All right, Con, this is Hebrews. Like it.
It's all good.
Chapter 11, verse 1. It says, and the title of this portion of it is, by faith, we understand.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Because faith is going to be that precious, that precious thing that we're going to need in these times coming up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I got an article for it too.
It
says, now faith, faith is the assurance. Faith is the assurance,
mm-hmm.
Title, deed, confirmation of things hoped for, you know, divinely guaranteed. So let me read that again. It says, now faith is the assurance, title, deed, confirmation of things hoped for, divinely guaranteed.
Yep.
All right. Because faith is only given unto the elect, you know, and it's going to be divinely guaranteed because, for one, you're going to see the world for as it is, faithless. All right. Yeah. And you know, as leading and following Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai in all sincerity and truth, you know, it's going to be assured to you,
mm-hmm.
you know, because you have took the steps needed to acquire it. I'll continue. It says, and the evidence of things not seen, you know, the confidence of their
reality.
Yeah, the conviction of their reality, to what faith comprehends. I'm getting tongue tied.
You may read it.
Bible shot.
God, this is Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. And it says, now faith is the assurance, title deed, confirmation of things hoped for, divinely guaranteed, and the evidence of things not seen, the conviction of the reality. Faith comprehends as fact what cannot be experienced by the physical senses.
Because faith is something that is given to the elect to help build them up, and to put them on a level that no other nation can be on, because no one else has the level of faith that was given out. That makes me think of that Sirach chapter 24, going to verse 8, how faith or wisdom, because wisdom, faith, they coincide with each other. Faith is something that's only given unto the elect, just like wisdom is only something that's given unto the elect. All right, but you got it. So I don't want to go on a tangent.
God, I'm gonna read this. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 14, and it reads. It says, "But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, for they are foolishness unto him." And that's why the scriptures talk about how I want to say who have believed our report.
Isaiah 53.
Right, Isaiah 53
and 1.
And that precept is heavy, because it shows you that this message that we've received, the gospel that's been preached, is not of the earth. It's heavenly, and it can't be believed in. It can't be accepted unless the faith was given unto you. The idea that we're going to be beamed up by so-called UFOs, that takes an otherworldly spirit.
Because faith, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, but experience is going to be equated to that too, because faith takes you through winding roads, but if you have that inkling, how about Shem Yahushua is for you, no one can be against you. Just like all the apostles of old, but it's like you got it.
I'm gonna finish this out. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 14. It says, "But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, for they are foolishness unto him." And that makes me think about too, Nicodemus.
Yep.
All right, when he came to Yahushua, and Yahushua was basically like, if you can't even discern. Matter of fact, I gotta get it now.
Yeah.
I gotta get it now. Because that's a beautiful account. And it's another thing you gotta understand. Most people aren't ever gonna understand this. Most people aren't ever gonna get this. Even when the elect are delivered, even when the elect come off the chariots, right, and they see the power, they see the miracles, they see, Yahushua taking down all these nations, right? They're still not really gonna get it though.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
That's that Wisdom of Solomon chapter 4, but pull your precept and I'll pull this one going to your point.
This is John chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse. I'm gonna start at the top. This is John chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, "There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Yahushua by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher come from Yahweh Shem Yahushua, for no man can do these miracles that thou doest except God be with him. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of the Most High, right? And it talks about that in John, the 1st chapter, how every man who's born is born by basically Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that seed being planted, all right? The engrafted word that the scriptures talk about in James 1.
So it's not talking about you climbing into your mother's womb, wanting to get pushed out again.
Yeah, that's in verse 4.
Okay.
Yep.
You got it.
This is John 3 and 4. It says, Yahushua answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Yahweh Shem Yahushua.
And that right there goes into whenever Yahweh Shai was stabbed in the side and the water and blood came out, because he is the water, he is the Spirit, if I'm saying it correctly.
Kind of, the water is the word,
yeah.
And Yahushua is the word, and the Spirit, is really going into predestination.
Yep.
Like when the Lord said, the Spirit go where it listeth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't know where it comes from, where it goes. This thing is all according to predestination. That's why your family don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. That's why people in the world don't understand what you're doing, because you were born of the Spirit.
Yeah.
You were destined to just be doing this.
Yeah, to do better. It's like you got it.
Con, you have a precept?
I was going to put a precept going in on your point.
Con,
from previous.
Yeah, you got it.
But you can finish that out.
Okay, Con. This is John 3. I'm going to read down to verse 8. We got a few more verses. John 3 and 5. It says, Yahushua answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I say unto thee, ye must be born again. Okay, it says, the wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but thou canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. So if you're born, if you are a believer in today's time, right? You heard that one of the elders and apostles, or you heard a brother on the internet preaching and teaching, and you believed, all right, that ultimately means you were predestined to have that faith already implanted within you. And that faith that you already have within you is going to be the difference maker, all right, when it comes to Jacob's trouble.
Yep. And on top of that faith that was given unto you, was given unto you from the elders and apostles, from Yahweh himself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And it's a gift. All right. We didn't acquire this on our own merit.
Right.
All right. We didn't will this into existence. All right. You had to be born one of the men, from ancient times that chose to do the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. All right. And as you can tell by this world right now, no one is doing the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua except for the men that out there sighing and crying on the highways and byways for all the abominations that are done in the midst thereof. Mm-hmm. But you got it out.
I got a couple real quick. This is Ephesians chapter 1 and verse 3 and 4. It says, Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who have blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in Hamashiach, according as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love.
So set apart. We're going to be set apart from this world.
Right.
All right.
You were set apart before, in fact, all the way going back to the foundation of the earth.
Yep. So this is nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going through, the trials and tribulations to prove yourself. All right. But you got it.
This is verse 5, Ephesians 1 and 5. It says, having predestined us unto the adoption of children by Yahweh Shai HaMashiach to himself according to the good pleasure of his will. You know, and I'm going to read a note in my sword, all right, on that predestination piece.
Mm-hmm.
It says, predestination is that effective exercise of the will of God by which things before determined by him are brought to pass. See election, 1 Peter 1:1. Foreknowledge, 1 Peter 1:20. Okay, so again, this is what we banking on. We banking on the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua predestinating us to get the victory, you know,
to get delivered.
You get delivered.
All right, because the chariots ain't coming to save everybody.
Right.
All right, and first of all, you gotta believe
right.
in the chariot.
Exactly.
Okay, and know that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is King of all.
Yep.
Okay, there's no mix and mingling with this world. You have to be fully persuaded in your own mind.
Mm-hmm.
But
you got precept?
I was gonna pull. I was gonna finish out that Hebrews chapter 11 verse 6.
Okay, you got
it. It says, "But without faith, it is impossible to walk with Yahweh by Shem Yahushua and please Him." It says, "For whoever cometh near to Yahweh must
believe that He is."
Yeah, believe that He exists and that He rewards those who diligently seek Him. Okay, so us coming out not after our own free will, but after Yahweh Shem Yahushua, who put us in this beautiful position to get the victory.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and with that, you know, he gave us faith, so we can endure all hardship going through.
Mm-hmm.
But you got it.
Yeah, and that's an important point that you made. That faith is supposed to produce works as well. You know, like we ain't, you know, you got to put the work in, man.
All
right, and the work is, you know, teaching, preaching, doing your videos, but the work is a lot of inner work too.
Yep, you gotta live it.
All right, a lot of self-examination, you know, a lot of praying, you know, fasting off particular things, you know, praying away particular demons, you know, that's all a part of the works. All right, and as you put those faith and those works together, you know, it produces confidence, it produces more faith. You know, so it's like a cycle. You know, that's why the scriptures talk about going from glory to glory. Really, that glory is a byproduct of your faith growing.
Good.
You know,
and that's why it says in that Second Ezra how the Most High likens His judgment as a ring. You know, because that cycle, mm-hmm. you know, that mindset. Every time you go through something, you're growing thereby. All right. You might have falls, you know, you might stub your toe, you know, but, you know, if you get back up, as it says in that Proverbs,
mm-hmm.
loosely paraphrasing, you know, a righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And with that, it's trial and error, all right? But Yahweh Shem Yahushua is on your side. All right, He wants to see you get the victory.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so He's not going to put you in a position that, you know, it's going to cause your faith to crumble.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you got it.
You have precept or anything?
I was going to pull that Proverbs.
Yeah, you got it.
Proverbs chapter 3,
mm-hmm.
Verse 3. It says, "Do not let mercy and kindness and truth leave you." It says, "Instead, let these qualities define you." It says, "Bind them securely around your neck. Write them on the table of your heart." It says, so find favor and high esteem in the sight of Yahweh Shem Yahushua and man. You know, going into your faith. You know, these are things that we have to cherish. Okay, I'm gonna read 5. It says, "Trust and rely confidently on Yahweh Shemi Shai with all your heart." It says, "And do not rely on your own insight or understanding."
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And we coming into times too where you're not even gonna be able to believe the shit that you're seeing.
Woo, we already in them.
Like like with AI
and
with all most of the shit that we see on the internet, on media, you really don't even know the line between what's true and what's not true has been completely blurred.
Dissolved.
You know?
It's non-existent.
You know, so the only thing that we know to be the truth for 100% is these scriptures, is the word. And that is cut off. That's an exclusive thing. Like, and that's again, that's one of the difference makers too. The Holy Spirit. There were Kakwadash. That's a form of intelligence. That's a form of communication that Esau cannot tamper with.
It's just like your soul, because Esau can do everything in the world, but he can't create a soul. He can't create the spirit. Mm-hmm. He can't dictate the spirit.
He's trying.
He's trying.
Yep.
But no cigar.
That's the whole point of the MOTB.
You know,
the whole point of the MOTB is to basically hijack your spirit.
Yeah.
Through your brain.
So he can take your birthright. All right. He's trying to take back the birthright. All this goes down to the birthright. All right. That's the one thing that he wants. That's why he's done holy hell upon, Jake, or the tribe of Jacob, the so-called Black, Latinos, and Native Americans of Negro descent. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the reason he wants your faith, mm-hmm. and he can't do that. His pineal gland is calcified. So, like, you got it.
Was there more on that?
Nah, I was jumping to the next precept.
Khan, this is Sirach chapter 2 and verse 9.
Khan.
And I'm gonna read down a little bit to verse 13.
Yeah.
It says, Sirach 2 and 9, it says, "Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good, and for the everlasting joy and mercy." Okay, look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or did he ever despise that called upon him? Right? So basically look at the Lord's track record. You know, when you read the scriptures say the things aforetime were written for our learning. Okay, so the Lord wants you to pay attention to his resume, so to speak. The Lord's resume is perfect. The Lord got the greatest record book, got the greatest stat line, all right, so to speak, in history. You know, and that has absolutely nothing to do with us. That has absolutely, I mean, the scriptures are about the Israelites. Yeah. But the Israelites wouldn't exist if it weren't for Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? The Exodus, the miracles he did in Egypt, delivering us, getting us through the water, the Red Sea, all right, providing for us in the wilderness, you know. So I mean, there's no room to doubt. And that was going to be my original title of the lesson, was that 2nd of the 16, fear ye not, neither doubt. Yeah. There is absolutely no room to doubt. And as we get closer to this, as we get into the Jacob's trouble, all right, the whole thing is set up to make you doubt.
Ton, you know, and if I may pull that article, because we are in the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble. All right, is starting with the it happens to the northern kingdoms first, but Judah, the Judah, Benjamin, and Levi gets it the worst. Well, right now, Cuba is over there with no food, no fuel, and no tourism. All right, so because it's under U.S. oppression. Okay, so with all this starting, you know, your faith needs to be on a higher level. All right, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to myself as well, because the same shit that's happening to Cuba right now is coming to America. All this shit's coming down the pipe. So what manner of man you could be in all holy conversation and godliness.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, still like it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you good. I know you said you had the article.
Oh yeah.
Con, I'm gonna read the rest of this on Sirach 2.
Okay.
And this is Sirach chapter 2 and verse 11. It says, "For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy and long suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins and saveth in the time of affliction." And that's another thing too. We always go, brothers preach and they teach, right? And we go into how the Lord, the Lord gets down. The Lord God, is a balanced power. Right. Isaiah 45:7, I, the Lord, create good and I create evil. He does all those things, but what can get lost in translation, so to speak, right, is the Lord's merciful side. All right. And that's also part of what, Yahushua represents. He represents mercy. Okay, especially to the Gentiles, to the Israelite foreigners coming back in. That's why when you read Romans the 15th chapter, Paul was basically breaking down, how the Gentile. Matter of fact, let me get this real quick. Let me get it real quick, just so I don't butcher it. Because we're so close to the finish line. Jake, newer believers coming in may be looking at it like, oh man, well, it's late in the game and I ain't been doing this, and that's not the spirit to be in. The spirit should be to try to get up in that arc as fast as you possibly can. Like when shit get crazy and niggas go to the grocery store and start pulling shit off the shelves. Right. That's how you should be in the spirit with this truth. You should be trying to get whatever you can get before the getting is gone.
Yep. Because those doors are closing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's like this is Romans 15, and I'll read 8 and 9. It says, "Now I say that Yahushua HaMashiach was a minister of the circumcision for the truth of God," right? Because the scriptures say, right, the Lord would raise up the tents of Judah first. Yep. Going into basically the southern kingdom, Judah and Benjamin, Levi, that were left in the land, that knew that they were Israelites, right? It says, to confirm the promises made unto the fathers, and that the Gentiles might glorify Yahweh for his mercy. And I'll read the rest of the verse. It says, as it is written, for this cause I will confess to thee among the Gentiles and sing unto thy name. So Yahushua also represents mercy, him being that sacrifice. But I forgot what got me there. We were in what were we reading right before this? Salakia.
No, we were talking about
Sirach 2. I was on Sirach 2. Let me finish that out in Sirach 2 real quick.
Where'd you stop?
I stopped at verse 11.
Yeah.
Sirach 2 and 11, it says, "For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy and long suffering and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins and saveth in the time of affliction." And you see how the compassion, the mercy, and the long suffering, it leads to salvation.
Yeah, it leads to salvation.
Because that's what we need. That's how we're going to get to salvation, man. Not through being a nigga with the nicest fringes, man. All right, or being a nigga that talks shit the best, right, on the highways and byways. This is Sirach 2 and 12. It says, "Woe be to the fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goeth two ways. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not, therefore shall he not be defended." Right? So that's that difference maker. Faith is going to be the difference between you receiving that protection and you not receiving that protection. What you got?
This is Sirach chapter 51, verse 2. And it says, "For thou art my defender," and it says, "For thou art my defender and helper, and hast preserved my body from destruction." And Salakia. Let me start at 1. This is Sirach chapter 51 and 1. It says, a prayer of Jesus, son of Sirach. It says, "I will thank thee, O Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, and King of praise,
and praise thee,
and praise thee, O Yahweh, my Savior. I do give praise unto thy name." So that shows two things right there. One, even in the book of Sirach, they had the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right. and they knew who their Savior was.
Mhm.
All right, verse 2, it says, "For thou art my defender and helper, and has preserved my body from destruction, and from the snare of the slanderous tongue, and from the lips that forge lies, all right, and has been mine helper against mine adversaries."
Mhm.
All right, so Yahweh Shemel Shai has uh, preserved us, from Esau Edom, which is a slanderous tongue, because he's trying to put us all in a category. All right, so he come down with that great wrath, but he's gonna do that anyway. All right, but we have a shield. All right, we have the shield of faith.
And if somebody were to ask, like, that precept, Sirach 51:2, if somebody were to ask, like, what's the definition of Jacob's trouble, like, that's literally like,
that's it.
That's Jacob's trouble right there.
Yep.
You know.
But it says, "and from lips that forge lies." So that shows right there that Esau Edom is going to lie.
Accuser of thy brother.
The accuser of our brethren. So he's going to lie and say, "Look at what they did," but it's not going to be held to us. Right. That's what that Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and 9 goes into. Mm-hmm. All right, because even though he's going to say it, all right, the Most High already had it in his story that we're going to be preserved from it. All right? Right. But all this is just to entail that, the faith that we have in Yahweh Shemel Shai to know that he's going to defend us from all this hell that's coming. But you got it, Salakia. I don't want to speak too much.
You got anything else?
No, that's it.
Khan. Yeah, beautiful. That was beautiful, man. That was all the precepts I had. Just wanted to go into faith, man. When the light, when all this other shit goes away, the job, the this, the that, the third, the woman, the whatever, your situation, faith. You know what I'm saying?
Faith and faith, man.
So hey, I believe that the point was made through the Spirit. Lord's willing, it was edifying. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors again to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth. And shalom.
Shalom.